My name is Deruga. I joined American Homes with the big merge that happened in May. I have a long, almost 20-year history with Coldwell Banker and RT Corporate Land. I worked in the marketing department in the days when print advertising was everything. I managed the calendar for the town criers and all the different publications. I worked with relocation for a number of years, and this helped me have another perspective. Eventually, I became the person who went into offices and streamlined processes and systems. And this developed into me being the field operations manager for all the offices across the island. So when I learned of this merger, I was very happy to hear that I was being invited to the team here to help streamline the two companies into one and build a procedure to pay your commission as fast as possible. So I do a lot of work every day in Dotloop. I've been doing this since about the end of May. The first month of the merge was very much focused on other pieces of it and getting all our dots in line there. But I've been doing this for a few months now, and I've come across a few items that I wanted to share with every office. So there are just a few tips and tricks that make sure all your transactions get to the right place and get processed not only as fast as possible so that your money's in your bank account quickly, but so you're in a legally sound place. So when somebody comes knocking on the door in 2 years, nobody has to worry, because when we go into the loop, everything will be I's dotted and T's crossed from before the moment we even closed. One thing that I like to remind everybody of is the importance of paperwork. A lot of sales associates say, "Oh, it's fine. It's not important until it's important." And once it becomes important, it's impossible to collect. So that's why we want to do this all up front from the beginning. Now I'm going to show you a couple different little things in Dotloop. Now you might think to yourself, "Oh, who would do that?" Or, "Ooh, I do this every time I use it." So it's across the board. These are small tips and tricks that I have observed from Brooklyn to East Setauket. So we're all doing these little things differently, and it's accumulating time to delays we can control. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And the first thing that you're going to see is what appears to be a very messy Dotloop, but it's just a lot happening. And share. Okay. So this is my Dotloop home screen. You'll see here that I have 99 plus notifications. That comes to me hourly. Now, seeing that huge amounts of notifications means I have to find another way to collect the materials from the sales associates, right? I use a series of filters. And some of the things I'm going to go through with you today is going to make sure that your files land in the right filters. So they're processed in the right order. So your closings go through in the same day. So your contracts are reported in a timely manner. So the first thing I want to point out here is that maybe this notifications tool isn't amazing for me, but I do think it's great for the agents, because if I was to click on here, I can show you, it shows me everything, anytime anybody touched anything. So if your client is looking for, you want to see if they open the envelopes, you can see them in here. If they've signed pieces, you can see that in here. If the office stepped in to help you facilitate some kind of change, you could see what they did in here. So this is a great thing for you guys, and I hope that you're all using it. So now the best place for the loops to come from is the sales associates. So I know you guys are starting these and you go to add your loop. But before you even do that, I recommend that you search the address. So just by doing a simple test search, I can see here everybody in the whole company that ever started a loop named test to learn how to use it. And what this brings me to is the importance of archiving things that aren't applicable. I've seen duplicate files submitted. I've had closings come in piecemeal where we had 2 different loops and you'll have the full lead in one and the closing check on the other. So it's important that you know which loop you're working in and that we're archiving things that aren't applicable to transactions anymore. Now, the other piece that is super important here is, I just want to check my notes. Yes, that's good. Using your templates. So when you start your loop, it prompts you to use a template. These templates are mapped. They're mapped so that you don't have to think about where you're sending it. When you select the option to submit, it will put it exactly where I have pointed it to go. And that's part of what I want everybody to do. So when we go to add a loop, we all know how to do this. Now, Dotloop is a very big system in general. When we were with Coldwell Banker NRT, this here is where you select your template, and it would be obviously whatever applies to the deal you're putting together. We used to have at the corporate NRT, we used to do this in a structural setting that included about 5 or 6 different platforms. And Dotloop is super amazing because it carries all of those services in one place. And that's actually how I've been able to make some really big improvements versus the system I was working with across the other offices. So the offices who have joined American Homes by using Dotloop has felt a faster turnaround in their commission. We're able to recover off of the technical fouls, so to say, in a much faster pace. And we're able to ultimately keep you guys more in the loop and control of what's actually happening with your deals. So it's a great little jive there. So now when I go into this loop here that I just made, you see that it will list out the entire evolution of the deal. Now, you guys know you start here, you get your signatures. Now you're ready to list on MLS. The first thing I'm going to recommend is that you do your submissions on the same timeline that you make changes in MLS. So when you list the property, of course, these are signed at that point. You would use your submit to review button here. I'm going to say no to that question, but if it's a referral, please say yes. Now it gives me a few options here. These options are the mapped folders that the template applies. You didn't even realize that we put it there, but it's there. So where I have found a problem across the board is when we're all guilty of it at one point. We get a listing, it goes on MLS. In a week, it's under contract, and you go, oh, I never submitted that. You're not first, you're not last, you're not only, okay? What I will recommend is to send us the most up-to-date status change. So if you find yourself in that situation, just select your under contract documents and you can submit those over, and I'll be able to backtrack to the beginning of the deal and get you all lined up. Sorry. I have a little one. I'm ready for school to start. She's stalking my door over here. Anyway, so when you make a selection off of this screen is exactly what you're showing me. So if you have a contract, you want to just submit this contract folder because that's where your transaction report is. Here's an important part. If you want to show me a check, you need to select this closed document folder, and that puts it on my highest priority list to be addressed the same day. And that will have commission paid to you guys by the next day, pending the file is complete. So now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know these parts. You've been working with Dotloop a lot longer than I have. So I'm so happy to hear your feedback. If you have any, please stop me. So the next piece that I think you should pay attention to is this column here. So you see, not only will it show you exactly what's required, it will show you if it's with your client. It will show you when they've returned it. It will also show you if it's been reviewed. So you could go in here after you submit it. You see it comes back as approved. That's golden. If you see it comes back as returned, you should take a look up in these notifications here. These notes is where my squeaky voice usually says, please add the fully executed lead-based closed document folder. So let's see. Is that me? Did you guys hear? So somebody has to mute their phone. I'm not sure what it is. All right, thank you. Did it work? Okay, so in this portion is where you will see why your document was returned. Now, another really great trick in here, well, before I go on, know that these comments go to John, they go to your front desk, and they also go to the agent. So there will be times that the office can help facilitate you through this problem. So say it's a technical foul and the wrong document got uploaded and they have the right one, you know, we'll help get that moving as fast as you can. However, there may be times that John calls you and is like, I'm going to kill Allie. Can you help me get this form? So that might happen because sometimes I just want to make sure you're in like a legally sound place. Just 2 weeks ago, somebody knocked on one of our doors in Suffolk County and said, I had a problem here 2 years ago. And we were able to go back and pull everything out and be in a really healthy place. So that's a good thing. And that's exactly what I'm here to do for you guys. So just because you get one of these compliance notes doesn't mean you have to panic. It doesn't mean everything's stopping in a moment's instinct. But if it does come to one of the core requirements, the fair housing, the agency, if something's off base on the lead, those things we will be asking you to take some action on. The other thing that you may see in this piece is I am really a stickler for referral agreements, and that's in your best interest because it's always better to pay everybody once. So if you have a referral, I will ask for the agreement because there is nothing worse than getting the call 3 months down the line that says, I think this referral payment was 5% off. So I don't love to get that call. I also don't love to make that call. And I know you guys don't love to receive that call. So to avoid that everybody being unhappy circumstance, we are asking for referral agreements with all the referrals. We've actually, in the 2 months that I've been doing this, have made a very big improvement on multiple payments on referrals, and everybody's getting paid faster, the source, the agent. So my recommendation is to collect that referral agreement from the beginning. And if it's a small company, filter it for yourself. If you're working with a brokerage and it's a really big broker that you've done business with 100 times, we probably don't need a W-9. However, when it's that small mom and pop coming out of an independent Greenport broker office, I would ask for the W-9 with the referral agreement, because that can prevent some delays as well. So if you're collecting the information, ask for it all at the same time. So there's one more thing about these notifications that I think is really handy information for you. So you'll see here, this says not submitted. After your contract is processed, it would say under contract, waiting to close. That means everything's in good shape, right? That's a great thing to know. Here, for your closed documents, when you see that it says submitted, that means it's with me. When I'm finished with it, it will say ready for final manager review. And that means John's making sure I didn't, make any silly mistakes on it. If it says clear to close, the next thing you should be looking for is the pay stub in your email. So that's a really good thing to know. If you're ever curious or you feel like it's taking a little too long, you could check this status right here and it'll give you an idea of where you are. Now, if it says clear to close for about 24 business hours and you still don't have that pay stub in your email, that's time to give John a call and say, hey, I saw this and my stub's not here, something's up. And we'll take a look back into it and see what's going on. So it's important to pay attention to these folders. Make sure you're submitting the right ones at this, and it should match where you are with your MLS updates. Your templates here will do everything for you. They'll tell you what's required, where it is, and it'll get it to the right place. Your compliance notes go to everybody. Don't panic. We'll help with what we can. Absolutely. But there will be times that we'll be reaching out to you and saying, hey, we need a hand with this, and it's just not in the right sound place. I will recommend that everybody, when you're filling out your agency disclosures, do advanced informed dual consents. We've just doubled the size of our company. It is much more likely that you're going to be working with a broker from another office. So you might as well just do that in the beginning. It's the easiest way to go. And let me just do a once over on my notes. Does anybody have any questions? I think those were my main points there. Does anybody have something they'd like to add? I mean, you've been working on this system a little longer than me. Maybe you can help me shine some light.
Does somebody have a question? Go ahead. Okay, I guess that's me. So are there any particular problems that have come up with our office files that need emphasizing?
You know what, I have to say, you guys have nice files. You do. You should be. They've been looking good. The number one thing I return is the lead-based paint. The fully executed lead, I do truly, not just me, everybody really wants that truly fully executed. We can't take the seller on a separate page than the buyer. If we're missing an initial, I will ask us to go back and fill in that blank there. It is a federal form. And not only that, it's about $5,000 fine per line. Per line. So they go down that stupid form and they go 5, 10, 15, 20. So I am a bit particular about that one. And it's in everybody's best interest, right? And if you have the contract, that is a really handy thing to get into the files. Now, I know we don't always have them. And I know we have some requirements on here that if we have the contract, I may be able to work around. So for example, if you don't have a sales agreement, but you have the sales contract in there, I can make that optional, right? But if you don't have the contract, we need the sales agreement. There has to show a meeting of the minds. And I would like to tag on to just one of the statistics that you were talking about earlier, John, the houses that are selling that aren't on the market. In my 20-year career, I have processed more buyer brokerage and notice of show agreements than ever before. It really is a wild thing. So don't be afraid to ask people. My neighbor had a garage sale and I wanted to go buy her house. And I went on the door and said, "Are you moving? Can I buy your house?" And she said, "No, I'm just getting rid of my crap." So I'm here to help, guys. And it's in everybody's best interest. We want to make sure you're in a legally sound place. Right now, the closings are moving really fast. We got them in a really healthy place really quickly. So about 2 solid months, we're moving them out. It's in the same 24 business hours, which is a great feeling. My focus at this point is going to be on our contracts to make sure that we can keep up with the pace of the market, that your agent earnings are on target, and not only that, that you know that that lead-based paint needs another initial before you close. Because boy, it's a lot easier to talk about that at the final walkthrough than, you know, after they paid you. So thank you, everybody, for your time and attention.